What happens when a 21st century jet crashes straight into the skies of 1941 Pearl Harbor? Could it flip history or just burn fuel in vain? It's the ultimate time travel dogfight, and we dive right into it.
December 7th, 1941. Hundreds of Japanese planes roar over Pearl Harbor. Battleships explode. Airfields burn. It's one of the darkest days in U.S. military history. But let's change one thing. Sitting on the tarmac, hidden under a tarp, is something no one understands. The F-22 Raptor, a modern fighter jet dropped into a battle it was never built for. So what happens if the most advanced jet on Earth is unleashed during one of the most infamous attacks in history? Can it stop the raid? Or is it just one jet against hundreds?
This is such a wild thought experiment, like tossing a PlayStation 5 into a 1940s arcade. The F-22 Raptor is basically a flying supercomputer that eats Mach speeds for breakfast, while the Japanese Zeros were, well, plywood with guns. But here's the kicker. Even if the Raptor could shred everything in sight, it runs on jet fuel the Navy didn't stockpile in 1941. Imagine explaining stealth radar signatures to a guy still impressed by Morse code.
So what exactly just got dropped into 1941? It can cruise at Mach 1.5 without afterburners, over 1,100 miles per hour, or 1,770 kilometers per hour, faster than anything that existed in 1941. It's nearly invisible to radar, and it's armed to the teeth. Here's what it's carrying. 6 AIM-120 AMRAAMs, radar-guided air-to-air missiles capable of hitting targets from over 50 miles away, or nearly 100 miles with the latest variant. 2 AIM-9 Sidewinders, heat-seeking missiles for close-range combat. 1 M61A2 Vulcan cannon, 20mm 6-barrel cannon with 480 rounds, firing up to 100 rounds per second. Its radar can track over 20 targets at once and fire before the enemy even knows it's there. It climbs faster, turns sharper, and flies higher than anything that existed back then. But it's not invincible. No ground crew, no spare parts, no modern fuel. In 1941, nobody can fix it, refuel it, or even understand it. The Raptor gets one chance, and then it's done.
Okay, so basically they dropped a sci-fi dragon into a black and white war movie. The Raptor isn't just faster, it's a literal ghost to 1940s radar, which, fun fact, barely worked and was often ignored anyway. Those AMRAAMs could swat Zeros from beyond the horizon, while Sidewinders turned dogfights into duck hunts. But here's the tragic twist. It's a one-and-done war god. No JP-8 fuel, no titanium wrenches, just a museum piece the second it lands. Imagine a soldier trying to fix it with a wrench and duct tape. Peak tragicomedy.
Now let's look at what it's up against. On December 7th, 1941, the Japanese launched a surprise attack with 353 aircraft, split into two waves. The lineup? Mostly Mitsubishi A6M0 fighters, Nakajima B5N torpedo bombers, and Aichi D3A dive bombers. The Zero was fast and agile for its time, but still topped out around 330 miles per hour, or 530 kilometers per hour. The bombers were even slower, barely reaching 230 miles per hour. That's less than 370 kilometers an hour. These planes had no computers, no radar, no guided weapons. Everything was done manually, from aiming to navigation. If they wanted to shoot something, they had to see it first and get close. Their strategy relied on tight formations and overwhelming the enemy with speed and coordination, not technology. And back then, it worked, because no one was ready for it. But this time, someone is. The first wave of Japanese aircraft approaches, 183 planes coming in low over the water. The Raptor takes off just as the first formations are spotted. It climbs to altitude within seconds, radar scanning the horizon. Within moments, it locks on to multiple targets, all from over 30 miles away. They don't see it. They don't even know it's there. Then, missiles. The first AMRAAMs streak through the air. 1 second, the formation is tight. The next, planes vanish mid-flight. No warning, no return fire. Panic sets in. The bombers break formation. Fighters spin off in all directions, trying to find the threat. Nobody knows where the attack came from.
This is like watching a wolf dropped into a flock of paper airplanes. The Japanese attack plan worked in 1941 because of shock and coordination, but against a Raptor, it's like bringing a butter knife to a railgun fight. Formations that looked terrifying then would just evaporate, with pilots not even knowing why. Imagine being a Zero pilot, trained for heroic dogfights, suddenly watching your squad mates blink out of existence. That's not combat, that's an alien abduction with afterburners.
The Raptor swings out and strikes again. By the time the Japanese pilots figure out something's wrong, a dozen planes are already gone. They've never seen anything like this. And the scariest part? They still haven't even seen the jet yet. The second wave is already on the way. Another 170 planes flying the same path towards Pearl Harbor. But this time, the surprise is gone. Alarms are going off. Soldiers rush to man anti-aircraft guns. And up above, one jet is changing the entire battle. But there are over 300 enemy planes in the air, and no amount of tech can be everywhere at once. The jet is fast, but it's still just one. Every second it spends chasing fighters up high, more bombers sneak through down low. The F-22 is winning in the sky, but even that has a time limit. The Raptor can fly over 1,600 nautical miles, or about 1,840 miles, when cruising smoothly with extra fuel tanks attached. In intense combat, it burns fuel fast.
And there's the catch. The Raptor is like Thor showing up with one lightning bolt. Sure, it can swat squadrons like mosquitoes, but Pearl Harbor wasn't about duels in the clouds. It was about bombers slipping past and wrecking battleships. One jet can't be in 10 places at once. And fuel? Yeah, in a dogfight, it guzzles faster than a frat kid at 2 a.m. So even while rewriting the laws of air combat, the Raptor is racing a ticking fuel gauge, the ultimate boss fight with a timer.
After 30 to 40 minutes of dogfighting, it either lands or goes down. And landing creates a new problem. The F-22 runs on JP-8 jet fuel, a modern military-grade blend that doesn't exist in 1941. Even if it touches down safely, there's no way to refuel it. No one has the fuel, the tools, or the technical knowledge. It also can't be rearmed. Its AIM-120 and AIM-9 missiles don't exist yet. And even if someone found them, they'd have no idea how to load or launch them. No maintenance crew, no diagnostics, no spare parts. If a sensor fails or a system glitches, it stays that way. And without the right tools or computer systems, even something simple becomes mission ending. Meanwhile, the Japanese side has fully functional logistics. Their aircraft launch from nearby aircraft carriers, which are stocked with fuel, bombs, and trained deck crews. They can refuel, rearm, and launch dozens of planes every few hours. In 1941, they've rehearsed this exact attack down to the second. The Raptor is unmatched in the air. But once it's out of fuel or ammo, it's done. No second run. The clock is ticking. So the question is, can it actually stop the attack?
This is where the fantasy turns into a Greek tragedy. The F-22 is basically a god of war on loan, but the US in 1941 has no idea how to worship it. No fuel, no ammo, no maintenance. It's the air combat equivalent of finding an iPhone in medieval Europe. Looks shiny, but once the battery dies, it's a paperweight. Meanwhile, Japan's carriers are a literal respawn point, pumping out fresh waves like it's an RTS game. The Raptor could save ships in the first hour. Sure, but history doesn't run on highlight reels, it runs on logistics.
Well, Pearl Harbor wasn't just an air battle. It was a coordinated strike on ships, airfields, and infrastructure. In the real 1941 attack, 8 U.S. battleships were damaged or sunk. 188 aircraft were destroyed on the ground, another 159 damaged, and more than 2,400 Americans lost their lives. Could one F-22 change that? Yes, but not completely. The Raptor dominates, but even that has limits. If every missile hits and the cannon is used perfectly, it might bring down around a dozen enemy aircraft. That's 8 with missiles and a few more using the Vulcan cannon, depending on how many rounds it takes to disable each one. Realistically, somewhere between 10 and 13 planes could be taken out. That's it.
So here's the sobering math. One Raptor could erase maybe a dozen planes. Impressive, but against 353 attackers, it's like pulling a few Jenga blocks from a collapsing tower. Sure, it could save some battleships or keep a runway intact, but Pearl Harbor was an industrial-scale ambush, not a duel. The tragedy? That jet is designed for modern air supremacy, not plugging holes in history. It's less rewrite Weave It 2 and more add a weird museum exhibit to the wreckage.
Enough to disrupt a wave, not enough to stop an entire armada. That alone could save ships, save lives, especially if the Raptor focuses on hitting the bombers before they get into range. But it can't stop all of them. There are too many planes, too many angles, too many targets. Even a flawless F-22 mission can't be in 10 places at once. Some bombers will still get through, and some ships will still take hits. It changes the scale of the disaster, not the fact that it happened. But what about the bigger picture? The shock alone would hit both sides hard. For the Japanese pilots, it's chaos. Planes vanish before they even see the threat. The entire plan begins to fall apart. And for the American troops on the ground, they look up and see something they can't explain. A jet no one's ever seen, taking down the enemy with ease. They don't know what it is, only that it's on their side. It wouldn't stop Pearl Harbor, but it would shake the attackers, boost morale, and maybe, just maybe, turn panic into a fighting chance. The war still starts, but it doesn't start the same. It might develop differently, but one thing is certain. One jet can't protect every ship, every airfield, every soldier, especially without any supplies. Or, what do you think? And what happens when a Roman legion charges a World War II bunker? Watch the video on screen to find out. Thanks for watching.
It's the ultimate what if, a single futuristic weapon tossed into history like a cheat code with no save file. The F-22 wouldn't erase Pearl Harbor, but it would rewrite how both sides felt about that morning. Panic turns to awe, confidence cracks into doubt, and myth gets tangled with reality. The real battle is never just planes versus planes, it's morale versus fear. And here the Raptor becomes more legend than machine. Last Brain Cell really nailed this one, links in the description. Next time we'll dive into another interesting topic. Click on it. Stay nerdy.